You may have seen reports that almost 300 councillors in KwaZulu-Natal can neither read nor write. This is according to a Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Skills Audit report. This is happening at a time when many of the country's municipalities are either in financial dire straits or dysfunctional. According to the report, 298 out of the 1,944 councillors in KwaZulu-Natal can't read or write, with 33% of them asking the government to teach them. Mlungisi Ndlovu is the Public Servants Association of South Africa's KZN Provincial Manager and joins us live now. Thank you so much for your time. How do you react to the findings of the skills audit?
As a PSN KwaZulu-Natal, firstly, we need to appreciate the work that has been done by our members at Cooperative, because they have responded to the decision of the cabinet, which took a decision to say there should be skills audits, so that we need to be able to understand the level of educations of our public servants, including councillors. If you zoom in this particular report, it simply says you've got about 300 councillors who have requested and said they need to undertake and attend the training in terms of reading. They are unable to read and write, and you'll appreciate that most of the challenge when it's come to that, if you cannot be able to read and write, you cannot be able to comprehend critical document, you cannot be able to read the report and able to process budgeting processes. And we appreciate that our members that are involved in Cooperative, they have visited about 54 municipalities to ensure that this report are tabled at the council. But obviously the concern will be whether the municipalities are ready to ensure that they capacitate these councillors, because you cannot have a situation where our councillors are faced with these challenges. But we must also take note that the same report is saying you've got councillors that have PhDs, some of them have masters and bachelor degrees, but the most concern is that 57% of them, in terms of the report, they did not have experience because they were new in the council. But the main other concern as PSA in the province, we seemed a reverse back in terms of skills development, because we need to ensure that the type of leaders that we have in society, they are well capacitated. We can't blame them. It's a democratic process. They have been elected by communities, but we need to set a standard from the Electoral Act to ensure that they are able to provide services. And you'll understand that most of the departments, they operate in the municipalities. You've got situation in KZN where municipalities have disconnected waters in school and disconnected electricity, which affect us. So that's why we are saying this is very critical that we're able to attend to some of these fundamentals.
So, Mlungisi, I'm going to ask you to answer your question then that you asked earlier on. Can municipalities capacitate these councillors?
So in our view, if you look at the interventions that Cooperative has provided, they should have that capacity. But the main concern is that HR has neglected their role, not only in the municipality and also in the local government, in ensuring that they comply with skills development, which clearly say that there must be a workplace skills plan, there must be budget to ensure that everyone is capacitated. Otherwise, you'll have municipalities that are only run by officials. You need the councillors to be able to process the financial statement of the municipality, to drive the economic development, to deal with many issues at the local government. So your question is whether they've got capacity. It depends on their willingness, because if you look at some of the municipalities like metros, like eThekwini and other big municipalities, they've got capacity to be able to respond to the skills development. But most municipalities in deep rural areas, they lack capacity to respond to these particular challenges. So there are recommendations from Cooperative to say this is what needs to be happened, but the question is, are they willing to be able to take this responsibility and drive skills development?
And isn't that the big question, though, that are they willing to do this? And I ask this against the backdrop of the Auditor General releases reports into municipalities each and every single year, and these reports, continue to paint a picture of municipalities that need urgent attention, but we see these concerns being raised year in, year out. Now, these are people who, in some of these particular areas, could find themselves handling running budgets that, are worth billions, and they cannot read financial statements, they cannot make meaningful considerations or even contributions to some of these particular statements. What does that then mean for some of the efforts to ensure that these Auditor General reports findings are in fact dealt with and municipalities are able to handle their finances and provide services?
So that's why you find that in the municipality, you'll have the municipality managers that need to support. At COGTA level, you've got different managers and units that are able to provide this particular support. We must also understand that we've got about 1,944 councillors. It's only saying it's about 15% of them. What is very important is that COGTA should be able to give us a progress report, how they have progressed. As we have indicated, that it's very important that they're able to manage their finances, because from time to time, as public servants, when we demand certain percentage in terms of salary adjustment, government talk about the issues of shortages in terms of finances. It is for these reasons that if these councillors have been honest, because this report, skills audit, was done in 2020, 2021, where they've clearly indicated to say, we want to know the budgeting processes in terms of the leaderships, because there are government institutions that need to be able to assist, but we must make sure that both organized labor and also government are able to work together, because issues of skills development are very critical. But the question is, how do you then educate communities? When we elect leaders with experience. We don't want to take away from councillors who work day and night to ensure that they provide services. We don't want to take away from our members as PSA who visit 54 municipalities to continue to provide this capacitation program. It's very critical that the skills matrix in these municipalities, they are able to respond to these fundamental issues. But the big question is that the accounting officers need to start taking responsibility, even those that have been identified to say, in terms of the capabilities, you lack experience, you lack these particular skills, there must be willingness. Hence, we've got APET that is in place, we've got CET, where we've got our members who are willing to welcome them to take this particular initiative, because if we want to go to a developmental state, we must be able to comprehend, process this report, and ensure that we implement our constitutional responsibility.
All right, Mlungisi, thank you so much for that. And as you say, it is important that the issue of capacitation is dealt with as a matter of urgency. But let me thank you for your time. And of course, let's look at what happens then in this regard to see if those municipalities do in fact do what is required here. That was Mlungisi Ndlovu, the PSA Public Servants Association of South Africa's KZN Provincial Manager. And the Department of COGTA says that the national minister, as well as deputy ministers and senior management, have a meeting tonight. We were hoping to speak to them, and they're preparing for the district development model in Bizo that is taking place this Friday. So we'll continue to see what the department at national level then does with some of these concerns.